Good morning again, brothers and sisters of Grace Bible Chapel. This Friday morning, I just want to look at the end of Psalm chapter 46. And I don't want to take much of your time this morning. I just want us to think about the greatness of God. That's really what this passage speaks about. It speaks of Him being the defender of Israel, their fortress and their strength. And so let's look in at verse 6, and we're going to continue from there. It says, the nations rage, the kingdoms totter. He utters his voice, and the earth melts. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Come, behold the works of the Lord, how he has brought desolations on the earth. He makes wars cease to the end of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the chariots with fire. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. I'm sure as the psalmist was writing this, he was thinking back to the many stories in the Old Testament of how God delivered the nation of Israel. And he delivered them in a miraculous way. I think of David going against Goliath. And we often think of that story as being a small guy taking on a big guy and prevailing. That's really not what it's about at all. Because when David, this young shepherd boy who was not a warrior, goes against this giant of a man who's a trained warrior, he says, I'm not coming at you with weapons. I'm coming at you in the name of the God of Israel. And see, his faith and confidence wasn't in his sling and his stone, although I'm sure he was very good with that weapon of choice. But no, his confidence was in God, and it was God who gave him the victory over Goliath. And we see those stories over and over again in the Old Testament. I'm sure these were coming to mind to the author when they would write this about the Lord of hosts is with us, and the God of Jacob is our fortress. The Lord of hosts, the one with the biggest army. And that's the Lord, and that's who they were putting their confidence in. We see the language here speaking of the nations around and world events and things that were happening and seeing things that I'm imagined would be seemingly out of the control of the people involved. The nations and the kingdoms and everything that's going on. And what does it say in the second half of verse 6? He utters his voice and the earth melts. The voice of the Lord. It was the voice of the Lord that spoke at the beginning of time and space and spoke the entire world into existence. Everything we know, all matter, all energy, everything spoken into existence but a word. That is the power of God. That is the might of God. He is transcendent. That means that he's so much higher than us, we can't even begin to comprehend it. That idea that even the Archangel Gabriel has more in common with a blade of grass than he does with God, because both the blade of grass and the Archangel Gabriel, those are created things. And God is so much higher. He's so much higher even than the most powerful angel in glory, that the gap is so wide, there's no comparison. And that's the God that we serve. That's the God who we can trust in. That's the God who intimately knows us and loves us. And he's good. We look at all the things that we've learned about God in Psalm 46. We've learned that he's a place of safety, that he's our refuge. That he wants us to come to him with our struggles and our problems and the tragedies that go on in our life. We've learned that he's our strength, that he wants to uphold us and lift us up, that he's with us. He's a very present help. He has a desire to help. And not only that, he makes his home with us. And that's very familiar and intimate in that relationship. But that relationship from our side should never become common. We need to meditate on and think about and realize just who God is. At the very beginning of the book of Hebrews, in describing who Christ is, Jesus Christ, describing him in verse 3 as being the exact imprint of the nature of God, that he's God himself. It says that he upholds the world with the word of his power. the universe. He upholds the universe by the word of his power. And it's this idea that he's literally holding everything together. And that is the God who we fellowship with. And he's a great God. And the truth is, brothers and sisters, that we really have no right in and of ourselves to be in his presence. We have no right to any kind of relationship with him. It's only because of what Jesus Christ has done for us that God the Son came to the earth and willingly sacrificed himself. That he became the offering for sin for us so that we could be forgiven. When Isaiah had the vision of the throne room of God, and he has this amazing vision and sees God in this vision, his words are, he says, "I'm undone because I'm a man of unclean lips among a people of unclean lips." And he's terrified, and he feels like, I have no business being here, and I should die from this, and I'm undone. But then an angel comes and he takes a hot coal from the altar and he touches the lips of Isaiah and says that you've been made clean from this. And then we see Isaiah's attitude change completely. There the Lord is on his throne. He says, I need to send somebody. I need to send a messenger. And there's Isaiah, hands up, send me. I'm available. I'll go. Send me. I'll be your messenger. Boy, isn't that what it is like for us? Without forgiveness of sins, boy, it would be terrifying to be in the presence of an all-good God. And yet with the forgiveness of sins, that fellowship, that relationship, it's intimate and it's good and it's sure and it's our refuge and it's our strength and it's our fortress. And in all of these things, God is exalted. God is glorified. It's amazing for me to think that God saving me is for his glory, but it is. And each of us can take comfort in that. I want to encourage you this morning to just think about that. Think about the greatness of God. Think about the wonder of what it is that you, and that I can have fellowship with him. We can think of the most important people in the world, or we can think of some celebrity or some movie star or athlete who we admire and sometimes we even to the point of almost worship, and they would have nothing to do with us. I'm sure they would meet thousands of fans and they just wouldn't want to have anything to do with us. But the God of the universe, the one who created all things, he wants fellowship with you. He wants a close, intimate relationship with you. Just think about that today. Just meditate on that. Thank the Lord for that today, that he knows us completely and loves us entirely.